This is a book, more specifically, a copy of Blame the Dead by Gavin Lyle, published by a companion book club in 1972. I got it in a charity shop a couple years ago, and it's pretty good, keeping me intrigued throughout, even if I have some issues with the pacing and ending. It also sparked an interest in the book club it was published as part of that sent me down a research rabbit hole. While a book description for Companion Book Club claims it operated between the 1960s and early 1970s, I was able to find books apparently from as early as 1952 and as late as 1982. Run by Odom's Press, the Companion Book Club was a subscription service where members bought at least one book a month for a minimum of 6 consecutive months, with the option to get extras at a low price compared to standard retail. Books were a curated collection of reprints originally released at least a year prior, which were mailed out to members, with the 1958 pamphlet touting 20 million books already dispatched. While primarily based out of England, the book club also operated in the British colonies, such as New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. Odom's Press, which created and initially published a companion book club, began as a job printer and newspaper publisher founded in the 1870s as William Odom's. It would continue to exist as a small printing firm for a time, being sold to William's sons and becoming known as Odom Bros. The company would then move into magazine and book publishing under the name Odom's Limited in 1898, changing its name to Odom's Press in 1920 after a merger with John Bull. The company was then acquired by Fleetway Publications in 1961, and its holdings were amalgamated with the Fleetway to form IPC Magazines in 1963, under which Odom's operated as a subsidiary. However, nothing can last forever, and Odom's shut its doors in 1969. Afterwards, Howland Publishing Group, also under IPC, would continue publishing the Companion Book Club up until its conclusion. Information on the book club is far more lacking than I would have liked, which led me to creating an inevitable spreadsheet to satisfy my desire for a complete list of books published through it. My main source for this was listings on AbeBooks and eBay, which I drove through to the limits of my sanity. AbeBooks was mostly useful for individual books, and was where most of my search took place, while eBay was dominated by bundles of several books, where I found the remaining stragglers. My sources being online marketplaces means I'm entirely reliant on people both listing the books for sale and properly describing them to find anything. I can't help but wonder if someone has a beloved collection of these books that they'll never sell, containing the remaining entries I've missed. Who knows, maybe they'll wind up in a local car boot sale someday. If you know of any more books that were provably part of the Companion Book Club or corrections to my information, please let me know so I can update the list. With this data gathered, my first course of action was looking upon it in awe, before actually analysing it. While I've made efforts to cross-reference them, dates may be inaccurate, since I have neither the money nor shelf space to buy all 388 books just to check the publishing date. In fact, I know I have mistakes, because after finishing up the script, I found a couple of books at a local car boot sale, and this book was originally my table as 1960, when in reality it's from 1956, so take dates with a grain of salt. That said, I can have a look at price changes over time, sourced from photos of a few surviving dust jackets. Books could be ordered as a standard version or a deluxe version with fancier binding. The deluxe version has generally cost a couple extra shillings per book compared to the standard. Based on my data at the start, in 1952, standard books cost 4 shillings and 6 pence. A price that increased to around 5 shillings in 1957, and then 5 shillings and 3 pence in the subsequent year. This price remained consistent up until 1964, when it went up to 5 shillings and 9 pence. 3 years later, in 1967, it rise up again to 6 shillings and 6 pence, a significant markup. After this point, I couldn't find any more price information, with a complete absence of dust covers. I'd guess that this may have been due to Hamlin taking over publishing, and changing the design, potentially scrapping the dust cover, and all the standard binding. The deluxe pricing follows a similar trend, with my earliest data point outside of a special case being 7 shillings and 3 pence in 1964, compared to the standard price of 5.9 for the same books. This increased to 8 shillings in 1967, and then 9 shillings in 1969, after which I couldn't find any more price information. Dust cover illustrations also changed over the years, going from clean patterns to hand-drawn illustrations. I personally love the illustrations and how they kept the same style for all of them for a nice cohesiveness, while keeping each unique and representative of the story inside. The majority of books in the book club are fiction, with the authors who have published the most in it, which we'll be touching on later, being fiction writers. That minority of non-fiction is mostly made up of biographies, primarily autobiographies, and history. The 388 books I could find were written by a total of 227 authors, with a few names popping up a lot. Victor Canning is the most common name here, being behind 16 of the books included. A significant lead on his runners-up: Alastair MacKean and Simenon Georges, come in joint second with 10 books each, quickly followed by Hammond Innes at 9 and Desmond Bagley at 8. This leads me to another thing of note, which is the gender ratio among authors here. The most frequent contributors all being men is hardly surprising, given the prevalence of sexism within publishing and society as a whole, especially several decades back. Looking further into it reveals that women make up a mere 23.8% of authors and 22% of books published as part of the Companion Book Club. This disparity is again unsurprising but notable. This is in contrast with present day, where women make up a little over 50% of published authors, a marked change. I'll have the spreadsheet with my research linked in the description below, and while you're down there, please do me a favour by liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this dip into my personal hyperfixations. I make a variety of videos, mostly of stuff I find interesting or fun, and have a few projects on the work that I'm really excited to share in the coming months. See you around!